trying x approaching 0. So it would give us 1 minus e to the 0, or negative 0, but same thing, over e to the 0 minus 1. And anything to the 0 power is 1. So this gives me 0 in my numerator and 0 in my denominator. So fortunately, substitution doesn't seem to work out. We got to think of some way to rewrite this before we can do that. Alright, so the first thing I notice as I go through my list of tricks, things that often work with rewriting these, nothing jumps out at me right away. But this being negative, I could think of this instead as an exponent of negative x in the numerator is like an exponent of positive x in the denominator. And if you can see that, if you can think to do that, then what you've got here is a complex fraction. You've got smaller fractions within the bigger fraction, and one way to rewrite that is to, or to get it out of complex fraction, is to multiply everything by the least common denominator. So like this is over 1, this is over 1, this is over 1, but this is over e to the x. So I'd like to multiply this by e to the x, because then if I do that, I'm not going to have fractions within a fraction. But in order to do that, I need to multiply the top and the bottom both by e to the x. If I multiply the whole top, it's like I'm multiplying the top by e to the x and distributing. If I multiply the whole bottom by e to the x, then I'm really multiplying by e to the x over e to the x, so I'm really just multiplying by 1. So that's why it doesn't change the size, and that's going to be allowed. So if I was to do this, so cancel, this is what I'd have left over in my numerator. And I'm tempted to distribute this here, but since I've got this in front of me, I'm going to catch myself and see. Now it does look like it's ready for dividing out. Those two are both factors, and if I divide those out, I'm left with this. So now I'm ready to try substitution again. If I plugged in 0 for x, I would get 1 over e to the 0, which is 1 over 1, because anything to the 0 power is 1. Therefore, that limit is 1.